Hi, I've got it's a little bit troubling to talk about what we're going to talk about today because I don't feel like people are tuned in yet. And I've said it before until it gets to you. You may not think they're not going to get me, but let's look back at the Martin Niemöller. It's not a poem, it's just a quote. First, I came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one to speak for me. This is what's happening in the United States. And here's what I want to go over a little bit. Just mention briefly these things. Currently, President Trump is refusing to bring back a U.S. citizen. Well, there's a proposal that all U.S. citizens could be deported, not all U.S. citizens, but that U.S. citizens who are accused of a crime without due process can be sent to El Salvador or somewhere else like that in prison. President Trump suggested deporting U.S. citizen convicted of violent crimes to El Salvador's prison system. You know, he's got the one prisoner now who he says is a rapist and gang member and all this stuff, but he has not been to trial. And supposedly that's not true. Just to know that you could be one of these people. What if your son or daughter or your husband or your wife or someone you knew got arrested and sent to another country simply because they could? Then we've got the executive orders that targeted diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, which includes white women, right? All of us, all the white women, all the black women, all the Hispanic women. Really, the only people who are safe under, not having DEI are going to get hired. That are going to get hired, really, in a lot of these places are going to be your white Christian men. Right? You're not going to go in there with, you're just not going to get hired unless you fit into that mold because you don't, the DEI, well, the DEI is going to cover anybody who's not, white. Then there's an attempt to end birthright citizenship, right? There's Trump signed an executive order aiming to terminate birthright citizenship for children born in the U.S. to non-citizen parents, which would include, I believe, Barron Trump. But I don't know. But they say legal scholars widely view this action as unconstitutional and anticipate successful legal challenges. But what are these? Who is challenging any of these things, right? The administration reinstated the policy requiring asylum seekers to stay in Mexico while their U.S. immigration cases are processed. It's not somebody coming over here to avoid prison time or something like that. Revocation of environmental protections. Trump issued executive orders reversing previous protections of certain U.S. lands from oil and gas leasing. Again, undoing things that had been previously done constitutionally through Congress, through the president, through the Supreme Court, through the regional courts. Things are done the right way. You don't just override everything. Here's one that's really scary. Expansion of surveillance and targeting of political opponents. Look, he kicked the Associated Press out of the White House. They had an office space. They had office space in there, where other journalists have office space, and they wouldn't say something that he wanted them to say. So he said, "You're out." Now, I did read where the court said they have to be let back. But the Associated Press is one of your most neutral news sources. And they were kicked out of the White House and not allowed to come in or fly with Trump or do any of the things that they do with the president. So just think about all that. Think about if your son, daughter, friend is maybe a mixed race or maybe maybe you adopted a child. I don't know what the law is on adoption, but if someone adopted a child from another country, I don't know what would happen to them. But you got to think about that things are being done that aren't on the up and up. They're not being done with due process. And Harvard just said, no to Trump. And now they're going to be at a standoff. The tariffs are like a huge problem, but that's not even counting. Like, let's just think about you. What in your life, is there anything in your life that Trump could say, I'm kicking out anybody who's ever had a traffic violation? I know that's over exaggeration, but anybody who had a DWI, they should go to jail for an unlimited amount of time. I mean, look, he pardoned all the January 6th protesters, and now they're saying that the protesters of Tesla are going to be treated as terrorists. But the people who tore up the Capitol building, where officers were beaten and things, bad things happened, were pardoned when he came into office. So don't keep thinking that this isn't about you. Look, if you could be a fine Christian, upstanding person, and he could come in and say, look, if you're Catholic or if you're Methodist, well, because Methodists are pretty liberal, and I'm pretty sure that Trump wouldn't like the Methodists. But what if he said only evangelical Christians, born-again Christians, can worship on Sunday mornings, and the rest of y'all, churches are shut down. If you have a church anymore, we're going to tax it. We're going to take away your tax exemption status unless you're a born-again Christian, and then you're all right. See what I'm saying? It's just stupid stuff that we can't be independent anymore. And I'm a little bit afraid. I'm a little tiny bit afraid of speaking out against Trump. I'm sure, nothing's going to happen to me, but people who speak out, I mean, he could say, well, if you speak out about me, I'm going to do this to you. And by the time the courts got around to me, it'd be too late, right? So think about yourself, think about your family and your friends and anybody you know who could be marginalized and imprisoned even by the Trump administration. Think about this quote. I'm going to read it to you again. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Don't be that. Don't be that person. Don't be the one who's not speaking out, not taking up for your friends and family, not doing anything for the world. Do something. You got to do something. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.